Hey guys, Shane here. Before we get started today, I want to ask you a quick favor. Please hit that subscribe button and give this podcast episode a share on social media so that we can help more families start, build, and grow a membership of their own. We appreciate that so much. Thank you for listening today. And now on to the podcast.
Hey, y'all. In today's podcast, we help a fellow podcaster grow his high-ticket membership site. Back in February, before the pandemic, when people could still travel, that is, Shane flew to California to attend a book writing event that was going on during social media marketing world. While there, Shane met today's guest, Dustin Heiner of the Master Passive Income Podcast, a podcast about real estate investing. While at dinner with other entrepreneurs, Shane overheard Dustin say he would never start a membership site. Well, we all know what happened next. Shane asked why and then spent the next hour and a half convincing Dustin to launch a membership site, which he did. Now, just a few months later, Dustin has 15 members paying him $189 a month. Not bad for a guy who thought membership sites wouldn't work. Dustin's next goal is to build a team to help him grow his membership site to 100 members and beyond. In today's Flip Lifestyle podcast, Shane helps Dustin design a team that will help Dustin turn his new membership site into another source of passive income. You are going to love today's podcast. Enjoy the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week. Super excited to help another unique member of the Flip Your Life community on the show today. I'm welcoming my good friend, Dustin Heiner. Dustin, how you doing, man?
Shane, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be talking about memberships. I never thought I would love memberships. I literally did. When we first met, I said, no, I'm never doing a membership. And you looked at me like I'm crazy. And oh my goodness. From then, I realized I dove deep. I dove in the deep end, and I am wholeheartedly membership now.
Hooked.
Wholeheartedly
He's
membership.
addicted. He's ready. He's ready to go build it, man. Like that was so funny because I was at a live event, and I think you were at a different live event, and like we were just in town. We were in San Diego at the same time. This was pre-pandemic. For anyone listening to this later, by the way, we were actually allowed to travel and go places then. And so I've been hanging out with some people, and it was funny because I was at a book writing conference, and I was actually there to talk about writing books. And of course, anything I'm going to write about is going to include memberships, which everybody who listens to this podcast knows. But like we had been talking about memberships the whole time, and it was funny because we sat down, we were talking about everything, and I don't even know if I was saying something about memberships or somebody said something about they were going to start a memberships, and you kind of were like, oh, I hate memberships. I'd never do a membership. And I remember everyone at the table looked at us, and then I snapped my head at you, and you looked over at me, and we kind of locked eyes, and I was like, here we go. Let's do it.
It was awesome.
It was amazing. And someone literally took a picture of this moment, and I'm like, why not? And you looked at me and like, here's why. And I was like, okay, here's why you should. And we had this, but it was funny because we had this awesome debate, this conversation about it. And it was like, I get it. I was like, I get it, but, and you were like, I get it, but, and it came to this point where you're like, dang, man, I could probably do that. And then like, you go home and you build a membership. You end up selling some memberships.
The biggest thing, yeah, and the biggest thing for me, why I always hesitate, and I've built memberships before. I've literally done it myself. I've also done it for other people. So like the technical ability, all that stuff was not the negativity towards it for me. What was negative for me was my time. I have so many businesses. I have so many things going on that I thought I had to have just loads and loads of time of like, coaching calls or, group calls like once or twice a week or, just lots and lots of time out of my plate. And you told me one story of somebody who has a membership where all he does is set a timer and gets paid money for people going to his timer, watch his timer, writes something out, and then leaves, and he makes money. I said, wait, if somebody can make money that way, I can sure make money with a membership.
Exactly. That, and for anybody that's wanting to know who that is, his name is Joe Nicoletti. He is the founder of LearnScrivenerFast.com. And if you go over to the Membership Masters podcast, I actually interviewed Joe about that membership.
It was good
funny.
Interview. Yep.
Yeah, did you listen to that one? And it was funny because when we were at a mastermind for a whole other reason. We did like one of our mastermind members was really having like a crisis, and we were like, hey, let's get together and talk about this, right? So we all went to Nashville, and that was really what it was focused on, right? We did some normal mastermind stuff, planning and goals, and next time we meet, let's all do this. But it was mainly just hanging out. And we were leaving. We were straight leaving, man. And we went to a coffee shop down in Franklin, Tennessee. We sit down, and he's like, what? same thing. It was like, guys, I got other businesses. I'm successful. I got things going, and I want to do membership because I want more recurring revenue, because I hate living launch to launch and, worrying if anybody's going to buy the courses and blah, blah, blah. And so we drew this. It was so funny. We had our notebooks out while we're drinking our coffee, and we drew it all up, and I could see him getting more and more overwhelmed. So I literally reached over, ripped his page out of his notebook, ripped my page out of my notebook. I wadded them up, and I reached over, and I wish I may still have this. I think I kept it, but I got a coaster napkin, not even a real napkin. It wasn't a big napkin. It was a coaster. And I said, well, let's fit your membership on this. And that's what we came up with. It was like, what was the biggest problem we could solve with a membership? He coaches writers and helps them get their books done. So we said, well, wait a minute. Don't they need accountability? What if you just got together and gave them writing times? And he's like, you think people would pay for that? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe let's try, like, put it together and see. And bro, he had like 600 people join that membership, like the first month. You know what I mean? It was just like hundreds of people, and they love it. They love it so much. Listen to this. They go watch. Now people show up for the replays of the writing times.
Oh my goodness.
It's the replays of, literally, like, they're all in the chat room together so they can talk to each other, so they still feel like there's community. But they do a writing time at like 9 a.m. He hits the timer, a little hourglass fades on the screen. They all write, and then they celebrate how many words they wrote together. And people watch the replays of this and pay $39 a month for it. So if that can work, anything can work, right?
And so
solves the problem.
That's what got me over my fear of just taking up my time. See, now I personally invest in real estate. That's what I do. I'm a real estate investor.
Tell everybody tell everybody what you do. In your podcast.
So I have 30 plus properties. I started investing back in 2005, 2006. I bought property after property, and I got plenty of properties to actually quit my job. And then as I was quitting, I had so many people asking me, well, how are you going to not work a job? Or what are you going to do? I said, well, I have passive income from my rental properties. The next question usually comes up after that is, well, can you show me how to do that? And so I didn't know anything about online business, and I didn't know anything about that. It was back in like 2014, 2015. I said, you know what? I can help you out. So I started helping people one-on-one, friends and family members, getting them to where they can quit their job. It was just fun. I really enjoy it.
That's real estate, though. This is properties, right? All real estate. Yeah. All buy and hold rental properties. That's what I teach. And so after doing that, I realized that's so much time taken up one-on-one. Why don't I figure out another way? So I found online business and created masterpassiveincome.com, where that's all I teach is about rental properties, how to literally buy and hold rental properties so you can quit your job. I love the term just over broke. We're living just over broke with that job, that job, just over broke job. And I'm trying to help people get out of that. So fast forward a little bit to where we are now. So I make all my money through real estate, and I love just talking and teaching and helping people. And then as I started building my business in 2015, 2016, I wrote my first book. There, I started Master Passive Income, started a podcast, had courses, and just loved teaching people. And then got to the point where I had so much extra fun helping with people. And so I started courses, and then I started one-on-one coaching. And fast forward to now, where actually you and I met, it was 2020. I think it was like February-ish of 2020. I already had courses. I was already doing one-on-one coaching, but I thought the task of doing a group coaching or having a membership took so much more time, which in fact, what you told me was the three things that people need. Number one, they needed coaching, community, or number one's coaching, two is community, number three is courses. So getting all three of those things, I'm like, well, I already have two of those. I have the community and I have the course. All I gotta do is do a little bit of coaching. So this is what I do now. I'll fast forward to literally what I'm doing now. So I built it up. It took me, because I've already have a decent understanding. Actually, I've been doing this for quite a long time. So technology was an issue. In about a week, I got the entire membership rolling, and this is what I charge. So it's $5.99 to join, just the join fee. First month is $5.99 to join. Then every month after that is $189 a month after that. Right now I have about 15 people, and I even launched it during the pandemic. So Shane, you remember this. I literally text you, and I was like, Shane, the pandemic just started. It's literally a week and a half, like literally a week and a half from the time everything was closed. A week and a half in, I'm like, Shane, I'm supposed to launch right now, but like, what do I do? And you said, dude, just do it. This is a marathon. You got to keep going. Just launch it. And even since then, I've got 15 members now paying me money every single month because of this membership. Yeah, it's awesome, dude. I love people's journeys. It's so funny, like how people go into these things. And I remember another conversation we had too was like, you were basically like, you told me what you did. And like, I think this actually might've been like the needle on the thing, like the haystack that broke the thing that the haystack was sitting on, was like, you loved helping people so much. Like I could really feel that. And like when you listen to your podcast, you can feel that you love talking about this stuff. Like it's a passion project as much as it is like passion and profit go together hand in hand. You know what I mean? And like, I remember saying, dude, you're limiting how many people you can actually help. Like that's what you're doing. Like if you really truly love what you're doing, then you need to scale it so you can help more people. And you can never help everybody one-on-one. And you can never sell enough $5,000 courses because not everybody can get into them. But if you could create another path, which is what the membership does, that creates a more affordable option that you can scale responsibly and be able to serve the masses, well, then you can help hundreds of more people. And I remember telling you that, and the conversation was so different after that, where we were we were planning now how to do it. Like we talked about it, like what it would look like and how it happened. And it's so funny about the membership thing, because like launching it during the pandemic, like that's what's cool about a membership. Now, if on a course thing like that can't happen. Like if people are losing their jobs and everybody's sick, and you're like, maybe you launched. I've heard of some launches that had to be pulled the plug fast, right when the pandemic was happening, because it didn't make sense, you know. But a membership, we're just opening it. It's not really a launch, you know. It's like, let's open it. Let's let the people who want in now can come, and that'll just give us a baseline, and we'll all ride this horrible thing, because horrible things happen all the time in our businesses. This one just happened to be the biggest thing ever, right? But it's the same thing, man. You've got to ride the waves, and sometimes the waves are big and scary. And man, look, you got 15 people, and you probably helped them come out of the pandemic better. You know what I mean?
Yes. And what I didn't want was having once or twice a week coaching calls. Now, like I said, I make my money through real estate. Obviously, making money through online business is great. It's another stream of income, but all that goes to real estate. I just keep pumping my money. I love real estate. So from there, I started thinking, you know what? If I did twice a week coaching calls, that's just so much. Like I love not having anything on my schedule. Like literally, I took an entire year off from doing anything after I quit my job because of all the passive income from my rental properties. I love having my free time, and I didn't want one or two things on my calendar every week that I had to show up. And you said, well, why not just do once a month? I'm like, well, that's a great idea.
Hello, it's your business. It's your membership. You get to do whatever you want, right? And like,
oh my goodness,
yeah. And there's a lady that does a higher ticket membership, kind of like what you're selling, like in that $100 to $200 range, and she does once a quarter, because and she does, but she has coaches that work. She's hired coaches in her membership to handle the day-to-day stuff. But she's the personality that drives it, so she shows up once a quarter. Like, so you can build it 100 different ways. It's just a matter of serving the people. You know what I mean?
And so you said it best, right? When we were talking that first night that we first met, it was, and you just said it just now, 2 seconds ago, it's your business. Develop it the way that fits you, and then people will go around it. And so one little tip,
some people won't like it. Some people won't like that. And that's okay.
Completely agree.
They're not your
member.
member.
So here's one little tip that's also helped my membership as well, is I promise what I know I can deliver. Number one, community, which I already have the community developed. I have people inside there. I'm not huge in there, but I have, like you, Shane, step out a little bit. Same thing with me. I have courses. I have all the content ready for them. And I also have the coaching, but I didn't really want to actually be there every, like twice a week or whatever. So what I decided to do was, you know what? I'm going to promise what I could deliver is once a month, I'm going to do a 90-minute coaching call. I can absolutely, if somebody's going to give me $200 a month and 10 people or 20 people, I will show up once a month for 90 minutes, which is fine. But then what I do is, so I promise that, but as an added bonus, I'll do a Facebook Live coaching call, like a 30-minute, right? And like a week or two later, or one or two of them, just because I have time. You know, it's the thing on the calendar that I didn't want. I want to be able to show up, and I have people literally loving that. That's like, it's like, hey, you know what, Dustin? He didn't promise this, but he's doing this.
Oh yeah, you're over delivering. You're killing
it. Exactly.
And you get to send an email out like, I'm going live in an hour on the whim because you want to, right? Like we were doing some research this morning with my marketing assistant, and we found this great keyword. I'm not giving it away, so don't think I'm going to give it away. It was a great keyword. It had the program we use scores it, and like the competition on YouTube was like 3. It was like 3 out of 100. It was like there's no video about this. We couldn't find one, and I'm like, whoa, gold! And I was like really fired up about it. And it was the same thing. Like when I do the video, I'm just going to send a random email to my list. And I'm going to say, or my members, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to talk about this topic. Show up at 12. I don't know when I'm going to do it because it'll be a whim like that. But man, that's like gold for them. They got to be there live. They got to find out first. They got to get their questions. They get to ask follow-up questions of things I'm not thinking about. That's going to make it a better video. And then we'll go rank for it. You know what I'm saying?
That's brilliant. No, it's absolutely brilliant.
You can people, I think, don't realize how much you can actually control them. You can actually control a membership more than you can other things. Like high ticket coaching.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, that's a different animal, man, because if you're charging somebody $5,000, if you don't deliver what they want, you're going to have problems because they're going to be mad about that $5,000. You know what I mean? Or even go ahead.
One little thing that I didn't realize this, but when somebody buys into the course, they feel like they own you. Or they own, like, this is mine.
They bought that part of your soul. They got that part.
It feels like it. It feels like it. Yeah. And that's the kind of the mentality of the customers. Good or bad, that's just the way it is. With a membership, it's different, though. They're so appreciative.
It's a continuum. That's what's different. It's not I bought this. It's transactional. You owe me. It's we're in this together. Here's the parameters that it's like showing up for a football game. Here's the time that it's going to start. Here's the time that's going to end. We're all in this together. We're going to have ebb and flow, and we're working together. And that's just it's not I hired you, which is what a course feels like. No matter how many times you sell a course, those people, and I've done it too. Like I felt like, man, I paid you a lot. I paid somebody one time $25,000. Like I guarantee you, I wanted my pound of flesh. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so it's just a different animal. But with memberships, hold on, my dog just walked in. Hey, Matthew, keep Duncan in here, okay? My dog just keep that in there, Hannah. My dog just headbutt into the door. He's just like, wham. Hey, buddy, what's going on? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. It's what was I talking about just 2 seconds ago before I said about the dog? The continuum?
I just remember the dog. But I do want to take because you're going on the right track, but I do want to take a quick little shift because I want to tell you the reason why we're on this call, or the big reason why we're on this call. So number one, what I want to say is everybody, if you're listening to Shane right now, whichever way that you heard Shane, he's just your normal next door neighbor that just wants to help. That's how I am too. And this is why Shane and I hit it off so well. It's because we want to help so much. And so if you listen to Shane, it's really because he just wants to give. And this is reason why I say this. When I met him, it was, like I said, February in 2020, and we just were sitting down at dinner, and we just started talking. He's like, you know what? I want to help you out. And he actually gave me his phone number. We started texting back and forth. Now,
which is always dangerous. Always dangerous.
Always dangerous.
What you get yourself into.
So let me give you, for everybody, I'm going to get this is a huge side tangent. This might help everybody. But this is a side tangent, and I'll bring it right back in. So just follow me, track with me, this little story. So I'm in San Diego for a conference, and obviously Shane's in San Diego for a different conference, but at the same exact time. And I'm hanging out with my friend, and we're driving into downtown San Diego. Remember, this is a whole different tangent, but hopefully it might help you guys. We're driving in, and there's 2 different groups of people we can hang out with that are there for the conference. Like we need to network. This is the reason why I flew from Phoenix to San Diego, was to network. And we're driving in, about 20-minute drive in downtown San Diego. And I said, okay, we have 2 different groups. Number one, I have a friend. I'm going to give a shout out to Monica Louie. She's fantastic.
Monica
good friend
Louie
of ours.
In the house.
Yes, Monica's awesome. So I was like,
flourish
Monica,
with some Facebook ads.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And she's going here, and she invited us to go over here to meet some new people. But there's also a good group of people we already know. We love hanging out with them. We only get to see them once in a while. And I was literally debating in my brain. Shane, I don't think I ever told you this. I was debating in my brain, and then I talked to my friend. I said, okay, buddy, we have 2 different options. Number one, we have an option to go hang out with new people, network. And Monica, I know her. She only hangs around people who are phenomenal. We could do that, or we can go hang out with people we just hung out with last night. And literally after about 5 minutes of driving and thinking, like, we got to do it. We're here to network. Let's go. And that one decision changed my life because I met you, and then now I have my membership. Now, fast forward, rounding everything back. So for everybody, you definitely need to network. Always network. Not just like saying Shane's great, but network. But at the same time, What I will say is that Shane is so awesome. I literally sent him a text as he gave his number, and I said, hey, how in the world do you handle multiple memberships? Because you have different, you have to have your personality. Right. And that's, I was like, Shane, how do we do that? You go, dude, let's just jump on a podcast and talk about it. Because I'm a podcaster, you're a podcaster. Let's go ahead.
What we do. We create content.
Yes.
That's how it works, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so my thought was, my goodness, I have the technical understanding. I have the business understanding. I can literally do it. I just don't have the time to be that personality for every single different membership. So I was like, Shane, how in the world do we do this?
Cool. All right. So I have multiple memberships, lo and behold. You know what I'm saying? We've ran up
There's
to
a surprise.
5. Yeah, right. We had up to 5 at one time. And then, which was hard. I'm not going to say that I was like, yeah, man, I was balancing spinning the plates and it was all perfect. But basically, to scale multiple memberships, the first thing is just planning, right? Like I have days that I work on certain things. Like right now, let's see, how many do I have right now? I think that we would technically say right now we probably have 4. Okay. 3.5. I'm going to say 3.5 because one of them is kind of like a higher ticket, velvet rope kind of. It's not as much time commitment because we show up and we do our thing and then we leave. You know what I'm saying? But it is recurring. It is a high ticket recurring kind of thing. But the other 3, all right, we have an education website, right, that sells lesson plans. So still run that. We have Flip Lifestyle, okay, of course, which is what people are listening to right now. And then we have Membership Masters, which is primarily a podcast, a YouTube channel, and a subscription newsletter, like a paper newsletter we have to mail.
Oh, and I'm on it. I'm definitely on that. Boom. Membership Masters.
That's what I'm talking about. Print those in-house, and they're packed by Anna, Joe, and Isaac. How about that? We got them an emblazoner thing. Like they're going to, this month, they're going to stamp them all, and it says packed by Isaac and Anna, Joe. Like,
that's so cool.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. That will come in outsourcing here in a second. Okay. So so the first thing I do is I had to be really structured about batching. That's what you know about batching because you're a podcaster. And, like today's Thursday, I've done 3 podcasts already today. We're just going to do all the podcasts every Thursday. Right. So we schedule everything like that on one day, but then I have another day that's my email marketing day. So like I'll start the day and write, batch 3 emails for Flip Lifestyle. Then I'll batch 3 emails for US history teachers, and I'll batch anything that needs to go out for Membership Masters, whatever. Right. So really that's the first thing that everybody can do is like, just batch and really schedule it out. You know what I'm saying? And because
absolutely
you don't have to be the personality every day. Like that I think is the first thing I hear when you say that, like, I've got to be the person out front. Well, like nobody even knows my face on US history teachers. I'm not the personality, right? I may decide how the content flows. Like that entire brand is built on sharing teacher memes on Facebook. I have like 10,000 people that follow me on Facebook on that brand. And I just scheduled 400 memes and they just rotate one a day. Right. So they share, they do phenomenal. This. So we created a content stream that can be batched and also invested, almost like investing your money. Like if I'm going to invest in a piece of content, even if it's an email that I'm sending out today, we have to think, how can we use this later? Like we just did a 4th of July sale. We got like 50, 60 members during it or something like that. Right. The only thing I changed from last year's 4th of July sale was the offer. Instead of a 30-day trial, I did a 45-day because I just wanted to see if it would convert. Right. So I had a 45-day trial, first time ever. That's all I changed in the language, but the emails were the same. I just pulled my campaign from last year and spent an hour on it. Right. So I think being more strategic about planning, thinking about it a little bit differently, and also that going back to that mentality of, I don't have to do 5 member calls. Like I don't have to put in more than 5 hours on this membership if I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
So
now,
how do you build it? Oh,
go ahead.
My quick thought is because I definitely don't want you to lose your train of thought. How do you build like the U.S. history? How do you build it without a personality? Because it seems like this business of memberships, it's so much better when you have that personality or somebody that's just like, hey, troops, come with me. I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, it's more like, but even the troops don't work that way. The general is not on the battlefield. The corporals are, and those people are. So one thing you can do is have leadership in your community. You can provide leadership in different ways. Like we have an awesome director of retention who I hired, and we have a system in place. When we reach a certain amount of members, we hire a new community manager. So I'm providing leadership, right? The Flip Your Life Blueprint, it's a path. It's not just a bunch of courses. It's, are you a beginner? Start here. do not get ahead, right? Like if you want, or maybe you're on phase 3 instead of phase 7, start at phase 3 and follow the leadership, right? So we have built in curation and leadership into the courses itself, right? So that's the path is a big part of that. That eliminates half your workload. Because if you've got it organized in the right way, people know where to go, right? So onboarding is important, right? We're working on a new onboarding sequence right now. We've got the old one. We've got all the data from the last 4 years, and we're looking at it, and then we're rebuilding it to where we know it will eliminate customer service. We know it will help with retention in that first month, right? So strategically guiding people through your content through automation, that alleviates a huge. You don't have to be. You're not the general anymore. It's the general's orders. But the general doesn't have to be there. I'm not on the horse on the battlefield. I'm up on the mountain doing this. You know what I'm saying?
So would you say, I completely understand. I think it's fantastic. It seems like, though, that is at a stage where you already have a decent amount of content. Your membership's growing. You know, you can afford the generals, or sorry, the colonels that are on the field. In starting it, though, do you have the capacity to start a whole brand new? Like, is there a maximum? Like, oh man, shoot, 4 is. I can't do any more memberships, or is it just a new model that you needed? And here's my
I think you could run up to 10. That's
way more than I thought you could.
No. I've thought about this a lot, okay? Because I want to know where my cap would be. Like, and I'm not talking total solo here, right? Like, for example, if you create, let's say you got 10 members paying $189 a month or 15 or whatever, right? Which is where, you know, you've launched, you've got members. Okay, cool. The first thing I would tell everybody is that's not your money. That's how you're going to hire your leaders. You know what I'm saying? I would go ahead and hire someone to manage some part of that leadership component, right? Which is easy to do. It's not as hard as you think. It's because most people in a membership don't really want the exact answer to their membership. What they want is to be heard. Okay. So just providing that, like I go into the forums, but usually it's on the direction of my team telling me where to go, right? So it's like my Carrie, who I'll give a shout out to here, will send me a message in our project management system, and I'll wake up and I'll get my coffee and I'll go sit down and I'll have a notification, and it'll say, hey, out of all the conversations last week, there was 30, 40 conversations that were amazing, but this one would be great for you to chime in. So the general shows up. Right? But Carrie has answered all those other 30 people and found all those other 30 people. And that's as simple as guiding them to your course that you've already created. Oh, that question is answered in module 3, right? That, I'm telling you, they will feel like you're answering the question for them. Does that make sense? So
it sure does.
So automation with onboarding is the first step that most solopreneurs can take. Spend a month and figure out what are the 10 questions that everybody's asked me, and make sure you answer those in the first month. That eliminates half of it. They feel like they're getting it from you, and it's perfect, right? That alleviates some of that pressure. When you get some members, right? Like a community manager, dude, all you need somebody to go check it an hour a day. It's 5 hours a week. Like you could hire even an American worker for that, right? $100 a week, right? So all you need is a community manager who you're like, okay, your job is to watch all my courses 15 times. And then create a bank of answers to questions as you get them. And over time, you'll be able to just point people where they need to go 80% of the time, right? And then in the other 20%, here's the answer. You ready for this? It's not Dustin's going to come down from the heavens on a cloud to save the day. It's, you know what? That's a great question. We don't have an answer for that right now. Maybe we can make a good workshop for that later, which you could do, and that would alleviate those questions in the future. Or, Dustin does a member call on Friday. Dustin does a member call every month. Bring that there. And now she can cut those questions up and go answer them whenever she needs them and add to your courses. So what you do is you redirect all questions to that member call, right? Now we're back to 1.5 hours, and I can focus on the growth and the other things like that. You see what I'm saying?
That's phenomenal. And I'm really happy about this. So I had a coaching student, one-on-one coaching student, phenomenal guy. And he is, in 6 months, he bought 6 rental properties in 6 months. And he's not wealthy. I mean, he's hard money. He's doing an amazing job. Anyways, he's phenomenal. He's making, I'm going to say right now, in 6 months, he increased his income by $2,000 a month.
It's crazy.
So he was doing phenomenal with buying rental properties. And he was really active in the Facebook community. And he's a one-on-one coaching student. So I reached out and said, hey, you're really active. How would you like to help me out a little bit and actually answer some questions and do exactly what you're saying. Basically be a community manager. And he said, I was literally thinking about that last month, and I've been waiting to ask you about it. I would like to do that for you. And so
Exactly.
he's literally been doing it for free because he sees the value of the community. He sees the vision for the master passive income, everything that I'm doing, and he just wants to help. And so I'm like, man, great. And so he's absolutely the first, if I were to,
He's your first colonel. He's your first colonel.
Absolutely. He absolutely is. Yes. So 100%
listen to
right.
this. The way I've kind of learned some different things is always from experience, right? So like of course, everybody knows our story with Pat Flynn by now. So like, especially people that listen to our show. Well, Pat, when he was launching his Facebook group, whenever it was, I mean, it was literally the day it launched, he reached out to me and Jocelyn. Okay. And he asked if we would be in the first group of moderators. Right. And not for any money. He's just like, man, can you help me? And I'm like, of course we can, and there was about like 10 other people that he elevated from his existing tribe. Right. And one of those guys' name was Brendan Hufford, who's actually a member of the Flip Your Life community. He was on the podcast a few weeks ago. So if anyone wants to go check that out, Brendan's got an awesome membership he just launched. And so we connected through this thing, right? And it was cool. We all got to kind of know each other. But of course, this is Pat Flynn. His Facebook group exploded, right? To the point where it was like overwhelming me. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And Brendan, and I told Pat, I said, Pat, man, I love you. I hope that I helped you get it off the ground, but I need to go focus on my own stuff. Right here. Jocelyn was like, yeah, I'm going to stick around. It didn't bother her as bad. Right. So she's still a moderator actually over there. And, but Brendan reached out to me and was like, dude, I just want to serve Pat. He's helped me so much. But then this is overwhelming. And I'm like, well, why don't you just ask Pat to pay you? I was like, go be the leader of this community. Cause he loved it. He loved it. The community. He actually enjoyed the thing, but he wanted to, he had a job. He had to build his own thing. You know what I mean? And he reached out to Pat, and Pat's like, yeah, great idea. I'll pay you to do it. And he still gets paid today to do that, So like, and that doesn't take a ton of money. Like, for example, like that guy increased his revenue by $2,000, right? So that's great. That's awesome money for him. He's doing it the hard way. But like, if you're making $2,800, just say, okay, if I take 2 members, that's $400. So it's only 2 members to pay that guy $400 a month, right? You could literally increase his newfound wealth by another 20% by just saying, bro, I don't want you to do this for free. I'm going to pay you $100 a week to this. And all I expect you to do is check it for about an hour a day. So that's like $25 an hour to check your thing. You know what I mean? And that's it. Now that's it. Now from now on, it's only 2 members to pay him. Membership math, baby. So now that will retain at least 2 members a month extra. And he's free. That's a free employee. He's happy. You're happy. You both can be selfish together. It's amazing. And then you go out and sell 15 more. Now you focus your time on all I got to do is think about growth now. How do I get more members? He's taking care of that. That'll probably cover the first 1,000 members. That's it. And then once we get to 500 to 1,000 members, now we're saying, okay, now we hire an extra guy, or maybe we hire a full-time person. I mean, it escalates very fast because you create so much more wealth when you do it that way. So that's really probably after you've batched to the limit and auto responded to the limit and sales funneled to the limit, you're probably going to have to hire somebody, right? But the cool thing is you've launched a membership. You're probably not that far from 50 if you've got 15. Like maybe you just put time into it for the next month and a half and you say, I'm getting to 50 members, dang it. I'm going to promote this thing to death, and then I'll have as much money as I want to put people in charge. It'll be easy.
So I think that's a brilliant idea. And I will definitely reiterate one more time, the membership masters. I mean, I get this awesome printout of exactly what to do to get more members. I mean, it's phenomenal. Right. So if you're not,
that's why I said you're almost to 50 because you get the newsletter.
Yeah. Right. So honestly, so Shane, you were definitely a fantastic promoter. And that's why I'm in the membership masters, because everything that I'm like, dude, this is gold. Like, this is where I need help. And so the membership masters is fantastic. So as I'm growing it, definitely the community manager is something that I'm so excited that I have, because my community is getting better and better because of what he's doing. I wouldn't do it. I just don't like it. And I don't want to do it. I mean,
but you're getting the credit for it.
I don't like social media. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of social media. Yes, exactly. And so as I pulled myself out of that, it freed me up to have like my brain capacity to just, I'm so much more happy not having to do it because it just doesn't fit my personality. He loves it. He's doing great. Now, after that, I'm getting more members. What would you say would be the next? Because remember, the premise is, how do I get to where I have multiple memberships, where I have more than just one membership with somebody giving me, or 100 people giving me $20 a month or $50 a month. If I have 10 memberships, how would I then scale out to? Is it each different membership has to have a different community manager?
No.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you just teach the like our people run this, like my people run everything. You know what I mean? And there's three teams you have to build to remove yourself to do what you want to do, right? Like right now, I handle email marketing because I love it. It's my favorite thing to do every day is write an email to my list. I handle all the on-camera stuff. Like even Jocelyn stepped back from the podcast a little bit because she's got other pursuits that she wants to go after. You know what I mean? Like we're building other businesses all the time, right? And doing these other things. So but I love my Thursdays are amazing. I get to talk to you and other people and it's awesome. It's fun. So to remove yourself to only do what you want to do, right? You need 3 people in charge. You need what I call a director of retention. Okay. That's basically the customer service element of it. And that's going to scale differently, but that's going to answer all your Zendesk tickets and all of your, I can't logins and do light coaching of pointing people to your courses, right? And reminding people you have member calls and doing that. You also need hold on one second. Hey boys, outside. I'm on a call right now. I'm recording the podcast. Thank you. Love you guys. I got eyes that just walked in with a bunch of hoodlums. All right, so it's just real life, baby. It's flip lifestyle. Everything's intertwined.
We have a lake back in the backyard.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Jump in the lake. Why are you coming in the house?
No, I'm at my office. There's no lake behind the office. This is another house. This is another piece of real estate I own, Dustin. A whole totally different piece of real estate. All right.
That's awesome.
All right, so back at it. We'll probably just leave that in the podcast because that's fun real life stuff right there. All right. So anyway, so the first thing is the retention, because you can't have a bucket with holes in it, right? So if you're retaining people longer, every member is worth so much more, right? So that's even someone like that community manager, that would fall under that. Community manager, customer service, coaching. Well, not really coaching, more like direction, okay? And then but Carrie checks our tickets for the education side. She does everything for Membership Masters. She does everything for that because it's just all batched into the same thing. It's that's a customer service issue. It's all customer service. Every business might have a different flavor, but they have to learn on all those things. And you will eventually have to hire different, they may need a team eventually of people. That's our long-term plan. But you need a director of someone to handle retention. The second team that you need is the content team, because you are going to have to create content. And I don't want to say illusion. I hate using that word because it sounds so fake, but you do have to create this omnipresent illusion. Like I'm always here, I'm always teaching, I'm always available, so that they get that feel that the general is with them, right? But you can't be with everybody, just like General Washington couldn't be at every battle. Right. But they felt like he was there, and it's because of the leadership. So the content director, I actually was just talking to a mutual friend of ours, Jason Brown, about this on the Membership Masters podcast, is how do you get that out there properly? So what the director of content is going to do is they're going to do the research for you. They're going to do the legwork for you. Like to schedule this podcast, you talk to Hannah, right? My director of content. So they're doing all of these other things that you just really shouldn't be doing. Right? Not because you're better or better at or better anything. It's just hey, division of labor works. We've proved it for 10,000 years. And that person is better at that than you are. And they're out researching video. Hey, here's the top 10 real estate keywords, right? Here's the top questions that we got last week in the community. Here's do you want to do video about one of these? Yeah, I'm going to do 5 videos one day a month, right? And then you just record them all in one day. But that person's done all the legwork. Right? I show up, I've got a little thing in Monday.com that says who you are, what we're talking about, why you're on the show. And in 5 minutes, I can understand and get my brain calibrated to the next person I'm talking to. So that's what director of content does. They post everything, they do your show notes, they do all that stuff. So that's the second branch you would need in a membership to run more than one membership. And then the middle one is basically sales and marketing. which for me, that's us. Like I have someone I work with on my team, but like I dig the strategy. I just let someone else handle the tactical building of stuff. Like I dig the talk, our member calls. I dig the Q&As, but she handles the SEO research and getting them onto YouTube, right? And turning them into funnels that lead to lead magnets and all that stuff. So if you can have 3 people, basically, if you want to run multiple memberships, which again, I do not ever recommend multiple memberships for true beginners. The only reason I'm talking about this with my friend Dustin is because he has other successful businesses offline and off. So he's a little more advanced. But if you have someone in charge of content, someone in charge of sales and marketing, someone in charge of retention, they can serve all those communities that way, right? You just have to build it out where you're doing that.
And you know what's interesting for me? So as I build Master Passive Income, I also have the podcast Successfully Unemployed, which Shane has absolutely been on, just destroyed the idea of not having a membership. Oh, absolutely.
Link in the show notes.
And so as I'm building my real estate investing business, I needed to hire people to actually run my business. Here's the little backstory. I was in California and back in 2005, 2006, when market was just going crazy. It was just going up and up and up. I could not buy a rental property and make any money. So I literally flew to Ohio, bought my first property, and then bought property after property. But I knew that I could not manage it myself. I could not fix it up myself. I literally had to do everything beforehand, hiring people so that they would do the work. So I literally hired person after person after person. But here's the catch with real estate, which is another thing, which is why I 100% love real estate, is because I accounted for every single expense in the managing, in the running and everything and fixing of the property. So you add up every single expense, and then you have your income, which is your rents. And then you minus them. That difference there between the two is your passive income. That's how much I make. So I've already accounted for my property manager. I've already accounted for my realtor, for my inspectors, my handyman, all that stuff. I've accounted for those. It's easy for me. I'm very frugal. I'm very, very frugal guy. And so it was really easy for me to hire somebody for my real estate because I need to do that. It was a necessity. Now, when you look at Master Passive Income, Successfully Unemployed, or you have Flip Lifestyle or Membership Masters, it's like, well, I could do it myself. I bootstrapped this from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
it's so hard. It's like pulling teeth to hire that first person. But I love what you said is every single member that you bring in, just think of that as how you can utilize that money that helps them to build the business. And so let's say you get, you need somebody that's going to be able to pay you $50 a month. Well, that's a $50 employee. If you just get one member, multiply it by 2, that's $100 a month. That's just going to help you to get another.
Or what the way we figure it out is we say this, like what'd you say? It was $189 a month?
$189. Yeah.
Yeah. I would not count your join fees toward this. You know what I'm saying? I would think about monthly members, but I usually don't count even annuals when I'm thinking about hiring, because that's a one-off purchase. I don't know if that person, those renew so low usually, So like I count it like a course almost, right? But let's say you've got 100. Let's say that you wanted to hire. Let's say you wanted to hire a marketer, okay? Because that's going to be, But where do you live? Where do you? I forget.
Phoenix.
You're in Phoenix. So let's say that you wanted to hire someone and their package was worth $4,000 a month, right? Which at first you're like, I'm going to pay someone $48,000 a year, like $3,500 a month plus insurance or something, right? God almighty, that's a lot of money, Shane, right? Well, not really. 4,000 divided by 189 is 21 members. So all you have to do now is say, wait a minute, if I go get 21 new members myself as a solopreneur right now, I'll eventually be able to hire that person to take over this part of my business. And then now you got to lead your team. So the first thing you got to do is you got to hire people that are going to do their job. Not the best, not necessarily the most talented person. Like I feel like every person on our team is a good person. They're in the brand. Like I feel like if they didn't do a good job, they would feel like they were letting me down, right? So I don't have to micromanage them. That's which this from contractors. Like working with you got to have people you can count on, right? But if you say, hey, I'll go get 21 people and that'll give me enough money to hire this person and they're a good person, and then we make another 21 members and then I go hire another person. Maybe I got 2 or 3 people. It's not really a huge amount of people. But then you can start doing investing. Like I invest my time with my team from 11 to 1:30 every Monday. I get on at 11. I meet with all of the team. We ask each other how we can get each other unstuck. I meet individually with everyone to understand what they're doing that week and that they're executing the battle plan. And then I'm out. I'm going to go do the things that I can do, that only I can do. And by 2 hours now turn into 160 hours of the 4 people who I meet with, right? So that's where you're really getting into this massive thing. And every time I add a person on the team, 200 hours, 200, my 2 hours, 240. It goes to 2.5, 300. Now we're building, but the team doesn't have to grow that big. You only need a few people to really, and you can build the team however you want. You don't even have to go by those guidelines. You may just need a community manager and maybe, like you're going to do a video editor, maybe you need someone to set up funnels for you when you have ideas. Like this doesn't have to go full blown huge team. Like, the first time we ever crossed 1,000 people, we had 2 part-time VAs. So like it's not like you have to build a huge company. You can still have your freedom, but you just have good people that you can lead top down. They execute and lead your community for you, and everybody feels like they're winning big time. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna get you, so just like you got me into memberships, and I'm diehard memberships now. Like you can't get me away from.
Oh, dude, if you get 100 people, you talk about money like that. You can get 100 people in this membership if you can find 15. This year, that's like 20 grand a month. That's $250,000 just with like 100 people you're hanging out with once a month.
And what's absolutely amazing is I coach them to buy at least one rental property. First I teach them how to build the business, because anybody can buy a rental property. But in fact, what's sad is actually it's good for me, bad for them. But people who just buy a rental property think I'm just going to buy a property and start and just have a rental property. They usually do it wrong. And I buy it off of them because they're fed up. They can't handle, the property managers or the tenants anymore. So I bought off them for a discount, and they're happy. Like, here, just take it. I love doing that. So what I do is I teach them how to build the business first so that it runs itself. And then they make $250 a month or more in passive income from that one property. Just one property is going to pay for the entire membership. And you
teach them how to outsource first, basically, is how you're
100%.
Well, it's the same thing, dude. You already know how to do this then. Like, it's just, you have to ask yourself what you can't do and don't want to do. And not people don't like that term. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not an arrogant term. It's just like, you don't want to do it. Like, someone else probably does. I don't want to fix my air conditioner, but I got an old boy named Marvin that loves fixing air conditioners, wants to tell me everything about the air conditioner, and does it through a Marlboro Red. And like, you know what I mean? And like, that's his jam, man. And he loves it. Like, I'm just giving them the opportunity to get paid to do what they love.
Absolutely.
So like, and you already know how to do this,
Yeah. What's funny is I'm a landlord. I have 30 plus properties. I hate managing property. I'm not a property manager. I don't want to talk to a tenant. I don't want to do any of that stuff. That's why I hire people who actually like doing it.
And you give up some of your profit to do that.
I pay them well. I
That's
absolutely
right.
pay
That's
them.
exactly
Just like
right.
my accountants, just like my lawyers,
That's
my
right.
property managers, I pay them well because there are only 2 reasons why I ever hire somebody. Number one, to make me money. If they make me more money, I'm absolutely going to hire them more money than I actually pay them. Number 2 is if they make my life better or take away something that frees up my time. That's the only 2 reasons why I hire somebody. And property managers, accountants, lawyers, people like that, but then also community managers. Like, now I know how awesome my community manager is, I know eventually I'm gonna have to pay him. Right now he's paying me because I'm his coach and he's coach. And so he's paying me as well as being a community manager, but I'm definitely going to have to hire him. He's just phenomenal. But in my business, retention, that's something that I'm not the best at. I don't think I'm better at getting people. I'm like you, Shane. I'm like, hey, let's go. Like, I
100%.
I need to retain people.
Yeah. So
Carrie,
who runs our forums, is better at retention than me, period. It's not even close. Jocelyn is better at me at retention. Like, I suck at retention. Like, I don't think of it because my brain works as the inspirer. I've got to break down all of your fears and beliefs so that you can actually think you can do this yourself. And then that's my main role here at Flip Lifestyle is, guys, I was a football coach and a social studies teacher, and I figured this out. I'm sure you can. We got to get you over the hump, and we got to get you in here. You know what I mean? Then you can figure it out. Then I'm going to hire the people to, like, creating content, like, not creating content. What's the right word? Syndicating maybe content. Like, we have 30 YouTube videos, We have a podcast called the Q&A with S&J every day of the month. We have 4 podcasts, or we're going to have in August 8 podcasts here on Flip Lifestyle and 4 on Membership Masters. That's a crap load of content and editing. I am not good at that, but Hannah, who is in charge of that, is very good at it, like way better than me at it. Like she can edit way better than I can. You know what I'm saying? And I realize that very fast, you know? So like, if you can get those right people in place, you're going to grow. And I would even make a plan. I'll tell you, one thing I see here is like, I would make a plan for your first 100 members for you and just say, you know what, every $5,000 that I make, because that's fast. Like, what's 5,000 divided by 189? Let's do some math here on the show. 180. Hold on, that's not right.
I'm not a math guy.
No. I just see numbers going up. That's all I care about. All right, so divide that by 189. 5,000. Somebody at home's already figured it out, and they're like, this is terrible. What am I listening to, these jokers? 189 equals, that's 26 people. So your first 75 people, if you think about this right, in that retention, sales and marketing, and then content, right? Which content you may already have covered, because anything you create for this, whoever does your other stuff, you can probably just outsource to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you can think about those first 75 people, you will create a team out of those 3 people, right? Who can do it on their own. It might be contractors. You may not even need them, you know, for the whole time. But then if you want to add other memberships, you're going to have to start paying these people good. But like those first 3 people will probably get you to 10,000 members, you know, and everything after that is that investment. If I invest 25 members in you and 25 members in you and 25 members in you, the other 25 is mine. And then what if we get to 500 or 1,000? Now it's off to bonkers. You imagine having 1,000 people paying you $189? Like, that's not obscene. That's not like Bigger Pockets has tens of thousands of members. So the real estate market's
they're
there.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of how much real estate I could buy with all that money. Like,
I know, right? Like, what if you have $189,000 a month? You're just like, I'll take that one.
I'll take this one.
And that one.
It's,
you know, right.
And exactly how you got me into membership, I'm going to get you getting into rental properties. I've
dabbled, man. I've dabbled a little bit.
Well,
you know,
just be like me
I'm
saying,
the guy that did it wrong. I'm the guy that did it wrong.
Exactly.
I'm that guy you made fun of and sold his property out.
I'm going to show you how to do it, Shane. See, so if somebody said, hey, Shane, you know, I just dabble in memberships. Like, no, it's either all in or
Shut
nothing.
Up,
like,
you're in. Get in the boat.
And so with real estate, so, you know, you have, you talk to your people like once a week, or the people that are working for you. You coach them, you help them. If you ever heard of the 4-hour work week, most people have heard of the book 4-Hour Work Week. Well, I literally work 30 minutes, not a week, a month, 30 minutes a month on all my 30 plus properties. And I make a good amount of money. I'm really blessed with a good amount of money. Because other people,
your time properly.
Absolutely. Other people do that work. So I'm going to show you exactly how to invest in real estate. And then I'm going to have you on my podcast saying, hey, here's a success story.
This guy bought 10 properties in a month. It was crazy. Yeah. And like, what's crazy about the 4-hour work week though, is like, it's funny. Like, for example, like people ask us like, how much do you work all the time? Like, you know, I'm a Christian. So I believe, like, I actually have this biblical principle that I live by, where I believe that I should work 6
Same here, brother.
Right? Like, I believe I should work 6 days a week, not like 10, not daylight till dark farming. You know what I mean? But like, God made the entire universe in 6 days and he only rested 1. I ain't taking the weekend off, but I'm only going to work a couple hours a day. Like I have blocks of time. Like, I want to wake up and have a few hours to myself. I want to spend a few hours on my business. I want to go fishing with my son, and I want to go watch my daughter cheerlead, and I want to hang out with my wife. You know, I've got these blocks of time, but I'm going to work every day. You know what I'm saying?
Every day. Yep.
And like, that's really,
100%.
That's what, but some of the stuff I do for myself, like this morning, I was penciling out an email campaign. I was giddy, right? I'm not counting that. That's not work. That's not work for me. Like, when me and you talk on your podcast, like, yeah, we work on we have that 4 hours of work that we have to do, the stuff we may not like, right? Or may not like, but like, we have to do it, right? But the other things we do, like when you're podcasting, that's work. Like when you're selling courses and helping your members and stuff, that's not work. Like, that's the 4-hour work week, right?
Oh,
like, I love
enjoyable, yeah.
everything I do. Yeah, man. And when you're having fun like that, like, that's what memberships let you do, dude. Like, I know that my members are being served 24-hour days, 7 days a week by my courses, by their conversations with each other, and by our community managers. I don't have to be there for that. I can facilitate that. I know that our people who listen to the Flip Lifestyle podcast, I don't have to be there every time they press play. I'm with them and my voice is here. And this is expanding out to thousands of people, right? And it's the same thing with your team, dude. Like, I was an anti-team person 2 years ago, and one of my best friends basically punched me in the throat and said, shut up and build a team. And I'm like, all right. And then I did it, and now I'm like, how can I make my team bigger? God, how can I? My mission's getting bigger. It's just better.
You realize that the team is actually helping you to be more efficient and better, freeing you up, and then also at the same time, helping more people.
Exactly.
That's why
it serves your people better.
Exactly.
I can't believe this is so wild, dude. Like, how it's so funny because you literally in real estate space teach what I just told you. Like, you literally teach people to build the team first and then properly invest in the thing. And yes, you'll find the money for it, but you got to build your business first. Like, you literally teach the same structure in a different space, but sometimes, man, it just takes a conversation. And like, everyone does this. Most of you listening to this podcast right now, you know what your idea is, you know how you're going to lay it out, and you know what your members are going to look like. You're just, something's not, you got to shuffle the deck a little bit, right? But isn't that hilarious? Like, you know how to do this. You've done it. It's just, I just told you what you already know how to do.
Let me give you the reason why I had to do this is because I am a DIYer. I literally remodeled my entire house. I would do it myself, but I invest thousands of miles away. Like, I have Texas, Ohio, and Arizona.
It forced your hand, basically.
I have to do it. So I was like, okay, that was the hurdle that it was easy for me to get over. But when
I can do it, but I shouldn't do it, and I know it.
Exactly. Now I'm having that switch. Yes, it's now having that switch in my brain where I can do it, but I shouldn't do it because there's so many people that could do it better, and I can make my time much more valuable, or is more valuable, doing the things that help the business to grow, building up the business, as opposed to working in the business. And that's the biggest thing is, instead of working in the business, you need to work on the business, building it up. And so that's huge, huge, huge.
I think too, this is actually really, I don't have a lot of conversations like this because this podcast serves a lot of beginners. They were really getting it going, right? Like, and don't have that background. Like, I remember when I started, I think I was the same way. I mean, I was a football coach at a small school. I was coming out of that background, and we were DIYers. Me and Jocelyn could do everything if we really worked hard. We hired very poorly when we first started, so that soured us on it. You know what I mean? A little bit. And like, a lot of people don't have the resources that they can even invest from other places into their business. But knowing what I know now, and I'm telling this to everybody out there, the faster you get over the hurdle of building a team to serve your customers, not to serve you, to serve your members. This is what you're building the team for. Every member in our team is actually living in Kentucky. Like, they're a cultural fit to the way we conduct business and our brand. And I know that they are serving our people correctly. I know we're getting more success stories now. I know we're getting more content is being listened by more people. And it's like, the faster you can build that, the better. And like, if I could start over now and someone said, what would you do differently? I would say, I would probably I would not do anything for myself until I had 100 members. And I would spend every dime of that on the people that would help me get to 1,000 members. And then my life would have less time involved. I would be serving people at a greater level, and everybody would win. So that's kind of the moral of the story.
No, that's fantastic. And I love that. And you just convinced me. So every money that I get from my 15 members, I normally put that in real estate. That's just how I love real estate.
No, invest in this business, and then you'll get more money for real estate later.
Exactly. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take, I think, I don't know, what is that making, like a couple thousand, 2,000 maybe? I don't
26, 8, something like that.
Whatever, something like that. I'm just going to make sure that I hire somebody, because what I really need now, so the community manager, I already have him. Eventually, I'll probably start paying him. I love developing content, but as far as like, doing the marketing, I'm not the best marketer. I could put out content. I could, get on podcasts. I could do all that stuff. So I probably need to hire somebody that's going to help do the marketing or the funnels and stuff, because I don't mind doing it, but I'm not the best at it. I'd much rather have somebody else do that.
And like, really, if you work backwards, that's kind of always my rule when I'm trying to figure out something, is work backwards. Like, if I focus, like, that's why we focus on retention first. Doesn't matter if you get a member if they quit. So we got to make sure our people are served, which you kind of intuitively have already figured that out with that guy, right? So there's kind of thinking about retention, like customer service and retention. And then the next person is marketing, because that creates more members. And then, and then we go, okay, let's ramp up content. Maybe for us, the marketing person manages social media, but the content person would be your social media person, right? So like you build it backwards, where you're like, the bucket has no holes. This person pours water in the bucket, right? And then this person goes and finds me more water. Right. And like it just kind of streams together like that, and you'll build a good team. There's also a good resource I would highly recommend, because I think working with contract labor team is different than this is probably the team that'll help me like in a different way. It's like it becomes more full-time, even if it's contract labor. Like the virtual team for this is different than fix my lights or the plumber or whatever. There's a great book called Who by Jeff Smart.
WHO?
Yeah. WHO with a question mark. Okay. By Geoff Smart. Shameless plug. I don't know this dude, but his book is awesome. But like, so I get nothing from this recommendation, but like that book helps you write scorecards for roles. And that's how we developed what our roles look like on our team. And until I read that book, every single person I hired sucked and quit almost, like 90%. And like I read that book, and then the next 3 people I hired are awesome. And so that's a great book. It makes you think about your business a little bit differently. You can think about it. It's not designed to say you need this, like a business runs on this team. It helps you identify what you want to build, right? And then properly hire the person to get in that role. So when you've got that $3,000, you're like, wow, I'll go hire somebody, $2,500 plus some benefits, whatever. Like it helps you to hire the right people in those roles. Because man, if you get the right people on the bus, it's easy. Life becomes
it's like adding a person that you're hiring is like adding gasoline on a fire. We already have the fire going. It's a little small, but as you get more people pouring gasoline on, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I like to consider it 2 hours for 40. Like that doesn't mean I'm not working. I'm doing the things I am blessed to be able to do, right? Like that I can do better than other people that I should be doing. But it's like when I spend 2 hours with any member of my team, I know that I'm going to get 40 hours of really quality work, right? And I also know if something ever happened to a member of my team, it's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy to replace a person, but like that role is ready. We have a plan, and someone can jump right back on the bus and help us. You know what I mean?
So how do you do that? How do you make sure that you can jump to another person? Obviously, it's a bummer when somebody leaves, and if something happens to them, all that sort of stuff, completely understandable. But let's say somebody got a better job, and you still have that role you need to fill. Do you have systems? Do you have a lot of documentation? Like, how do you make sure somebody else can then
there's 2 great tools that I think are best for this, Basecamp and Monday.com. And so what happens is, like, if anyone creates a task, it goes in Monday.com. And we have boards, like someone owns the retention board, someone owns the podcast board, someone owns the YouTube board, right? Whatever it is. In theory, if anyone came in, it's probably not perfect, but like if anyone came in, they would see, like we have, like for example, to get a Flipped Lifestyle podcast published, here's what happens. Hannah goes in and she clicks a button, and it basically, she starts a new template. So she, like for this one, she would say Dustin Heiner. All right, so here's what happens. So she clicks here. It's like, I'm going to click on your name, right? And then there's a list of things. There's a list of like sub items, right? So we have this podcast template. So if she started one for you, it would have a list of things to do. Like it says, schedule guest for Shane and Jocelyn. She's assigned to that. Record the podcast. That's me. Upload the podcast. That's automated because we do it on Zoom. So basically, this is being recorded to the cloud. I just shoot her a message and say, Dustin's done. If I don't send her one, she knows it was today anyway. It appears in her thing. She edits the podcast and uploads it. She writes the show notes. She schedules it for release. That passes over to Angela. She goes and gets all the social media scheduled. We look for, there's like a close up thing, like any updates on the SOP. That's the last thing we do. Like, did we change something? Do we need to update something? Is something inefficient? As soon as you're done, she goes into status waiting. As soon as you air, we archive it. So like, that's it. Like once she starts this board, the whole thing cascades, right? So in theory, if she wasn't here, the person who does this for us now, and maybe something happened, life change, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's forget why they would leave. The next person, I would just be like, all right, watch this. Click here, do what it says, and it's over. And then how our leadership style is very much like mud on the wall. Like if someone was brand new, I'm going to click that open. I'm going to go figure it out. And then in the next meeting a week later, I'm going to say, what could you not figure out? And then usually there's 20% of the questions we ask it. We've straightened it up. And, 2 weeks later, we're back on the ground running. So like if you build SOPs and tasks, like it automates itself where you don't have to, because you do need to do that if you're going to hire people. Like you got to, we have failed at that in the past. The first people we hired, we didn't create SOPs. They left and we were stuck. We didn't know what to do. I couldn't hire anybody else because I couldn't teach them how to do it. Right.
It takes forever, a lot of time. And if you're paying somebody else to teach somebody else, it costs money to actually teach somebody. So if you
So
have
you
that
need to invest,
position,
you need to invest some of your time. Like we invest about an hour a day in learning. We sharpen our axe. So each person has a learning goal every month. So, 5 hours, 20 hours of their month is to learning. Like I buy them courses. Like I bought last week, I bought a YouTube SEO course for one of the person who runs our YouTube channel. And then I bought podcasts, I've got courses on Libsyn because we use Libsyn for our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I told our content director, I said, your job is to know Libsyn better than the people that work there. I can't learn it. You go learn it. Right. I bought a book for our retention director this month called Never Lose a Customer Again. And we said, your job is we're going to focus on these 2 chapters this month. And you're going to get deep on that. And we're going to create new onboarding sequences based on this philosophy because I really like this. So now they're out so they spend their learning time on that. Then they spend the bulk of their time doing their tasks or whatever they do. And I don't even know what they do sometimes. And then, and then the last part of it is, 10% of your time is you have to write procedures. Like, and if we don't have a procedure anymore, clean it up, get out of here, delete it. So that way everything's organized. Like I can look right now and I see, like I've got, so here's my procedures that I'm in charge of the main workspace, which has core values. It has core values, Dream 100, which is the people I want to network with. There you go. And then planning the learning schedule, and then marketing is mine too. Then someone else owns podcasts. Someone else owns customer service and retention. And they have like 10 things under that board. So like community and retention right now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boards plus a miscellaneous because that has random stuff pop up that we, like customers can break things very easily. And then like content and PR has the podcast. That's pretty much it. And then our marketing assistant has building pipelines and YouTube is all she's got under hers right now. So like we just organize it in a way and then we try to get rid of stuff. Like I have a rule. I'm getting down the rabbit hole on this one, but we have a rule. I have a rule called 5 things. This actually comes from my football coaching days. I learned over a decade of coaching high school students. And just humans in general. I coached in college too. Like most players can only be good at 5 things. It's just impossible. But the thing is, if you got 11 players that are good at 5 things each, you have 55 good things. And like, so that's kind of a philosophy that we've brought. Like I try to say, we're going to be really, really good at 5 things. And like, we have these 5 things in our mind for each person. If we're adding a 7th thing, we probably need to hire somebody else because we can only be good at 5 things. You know what I mean? So like that helps too. Like Hannah focuses on the podcast. There's 3 podcasts. That's 3 things, like, can we get that right? Show notes is probably a 4th thing. Maybe a 5th thing is SEO. That's pretty much the content director's role right now. Retention is customer service, managing the forums, managing our Facebook groups, some random, maintenance tasks like figuring out what's breaking and what's not and letting me know what's fixed. Like that's about it. Right. My marketing assistant, her main focus right now is on social media and YouTube, but not all social media. You can't be good at all social media. Facebook and Instagram is what we're focusing on this month. You see what I'm saying? So like that kind of gives you some built-in railroad tracks on when you need more people. Like how many members do I need to get them? Have we maxed out our 5 things for everybody on the team? That means go hire the person with a great scorecard, sourcing from great people. If you do that, you'll get pretty good people on your team. Be good. So
wait, I'm absolutely just like you sold me on memberships. You sold me on building a team of people that are going to be helping me grow from 15 to 100 to 1,000 people.
I've got a buddy of mine, man. He's built an amazing team. He has a leadership team of like 4 people. He meets with them once a week, and then they go execute. And he actually has built a layer in between the other 15, 20 people, right? So it looks like stressful when you look at it, like, oh, man, I got 30 people working for me. But he's like, nah, not really, man. I have a 3-hour meeting with them. You know, I meet with them for like 3 or 4 hours on this each week. And I maybe schedule a follow-up if we need to go down the rabbit hole on something. And then I get to focus on what I do best, which is build relationships. So, and that's how he grows his company, through partnerships. So
that's awesome.
Really fascinating, man, once you go down that rabbit hole. And this is a higher level than normal Flip Lifestyle podcast for everybody out there. But hey, why not build it with the end in mind? You just learned what it looks like. So make that your goal, you know, schedule it out. My first 200 members, this is how I'm going to build my team. And then I'll quit my job and I'll run that team, and it'll be good to go, bro.
Amen. Thanks, man. That was really, really good insight, because as I'm growing this membership, I know, because I'm definitely sold on memberships, I'm going to start another one. And then I'm going to start another one after that.
Jason Brown, I was talking to Jason Brown today about how when you take your membership to a brand, like Pepsi's a brand, but Pepsi sells Mountain Dew. Pepsi sells whatever else they sell. They didn't just stay a cola. You know what I'm saying? And what if any niche can probably support a 5,000 person membership, right? If there's 100,000 people in the world doing something, you can probably get 5,000 of them in your membership, right? Like there's about 100,000 elementary librarians. We built $1 million company off that. We had 10% of the market probably at one time. You know what I mean? And we dominated it. And but think about this. Like if I knew how to build that and it kind of looked the same, like what if I had 10 memberships with 5,000 members? That's 50,000 members, right? So that's what you're thinking about now is, I mean, I see 5 or 6 different memberships here. Like my big picture for Flip Lifestyle even is like, okay, what are we known for? Like the first thing we're probably known for is memberships, just because that's what we teach. But we're also known as this work-life balance people, right? So like that's really the difference in our brand and other people's brand. It's not laying on the hood of the Lamborghini. It's not living in a beach in Thailand for $8 a day. We're a family, right? That's what we do. So like, what does that look like? Marriage, that's hard, right? Parenting, that's hard. Lots of problems there, faith, right? Like faith, like that's a part of who we are. These are all memberships. That doesn't mean I'm leading them. I might hire someone to run a marriage brand. I might hire someone to help me build a parenting brand, right? Like I might create brands, but each of those brands could be 1,000 members. What if I had 10 of those and they were all paying $100 a month and I had 10,000 people paying $100 a month? That's a lot of money. That's $1 million a month.
It sure is.
You know what I mean? But it's not inconceivable.
Absolutely.
It's not inconceivable when you do memberships and you build good teams, And
if it's done one time, if you've done it one time, you can see the scalability of it, especially if you get teams, you get people working with you. I know with my real estate business, because I invest in many different states, as well as I have other students that invest in other states as well. And each time I go to another city in another state, I build up another team. And that team does all the work. And so which is
hilarious, because this wasn't the first thing in your mind when you were thinking about growing your membership.
No, absolutely not.
Right? That's why we talk. That's why we listen to podcasts like this. We have conversations.
Absolutely.
It's why our entire brand is built around our community. It's called the Flip Your Life community, not the Flip Your Life blueprint. That's inside the community. It's not Shane and Jocelyn's sage advice. It's the Flip Your Life community, because without conversations like this in forums, on podcasts, or like you just miss the forest for the trees. Yeah, I do it all the time. Man. Like I was writing down things I learned from in between our shows. I just got off with a Membership Master podcast, and I wrote down like 5 things I learned, because I'm like, man, if I hadn't had that conversation, that's really what Membership Masters is for. It's greedy, because I get to talk to people and they teach me. Like we had a conversation. This is gonna be the longest Flip Lifestyle podcast ever. We had a conversation about free content, and we were talking about I'm a big believer that all content is free. You're only selling curation. My museum's better than your museum. That's why you're buying it from me. You know what I mean? Like I can get you to what you want to see faster. But we were talking about that, and he was talking about how they had a shift about a year ago. This is Jason Brown from the Brown Report. How they had a shift to all mindset training. He's like, man, I figured out that the only thing that's holding people back from investing in the stock market is a mindset shift. Believing it's possible, overcoming the fears of losing money, realizing that failure is a part of the journey. Like these big mindset issues that we all deal with, which you deal with in real estate. I'm sure all the time people have fears from that, or they screwed it up and they're stuck for life.
Absolutely.
Right? That's me, by the way. The no, I'm just kidding. But basically, like, I learned in that conversation, I'm focusing way too much on tactics and technical stuff in my YouTube and my blogging and stuff. Like not here. This is what this is for, these conversations. But like, man, I'm going to add a show on this podcast where I talk more about mindset, because I know the objections. There's 24 objections that we've overcome over the years, that the vast majority of our people go through to join our community. Why am I not talking about that? Right. So these conversations are what make us learn this, even when we think we know what we're doing. Right.
So
it
would
reveals what we're missing.
No, that's a brilliant idea. And I've literally been thinking about this for the last maybe couple months. So with the Master Passive Income podcast, where I literally teach how, like, mainly 90% my content, literally teaching you how to do rental properties. And I've been thinking about also teaching mindset, because that's one of the biggest things that get people to say, once they make the switch, then my podcast is great for them because they're like jumping into it, but also helping them to change that mindset. Would you do, like, because we do once a week podcasts, would you replace one once a week, or would you just add another show? I don't know. I
don't know. Like a lot of these conversations are mindset. Like, and that's what these end up being. But I think focusing on them would be good. Yeah. Like, even if it was every other episode, or I'm an ad content kind of guy. That's what I like to do, is talk. So like I'd like to add a show that actually did that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that'd be cool if people, came in on Monday and listened to Flip Lifestyle, came in on, Friday or Wednesday, and we had a little mindset pep talk. Not a mindset pep talk, but how I overcame that. Yeah, like for example, we overcame the time. The time is always a problem when you're a family and you got small children and you're trying to build a business. We know that. We know that that's a problem. So how did we overcome that? Well, Jocelyn and I committed that we wanted to change our family's future. And we got the grandparents somehow to watch the kids one night, and we went to a Mexican restaurant. We took out a piece of paper, we drew 168 squares, and we said, last week, we're going to write down every hour. I don't care if we were asleep, in the bathroom. I don't care what it was. What were we doing? Right. So we had to guess, like, how many times we peed a day and all this stuff. And so we actually wrote all this down, and then we said, okay, let's get a highlighter and let's mark out everything that actually is not helping us improve our life. TV time, or, the commute. Man, if I go this way, it's 20 minutes. If I go this way, it's 30. Well, that would save 10 minutes. Anything, any place we could save time. We realized we had like 15 hours a week that we could work on our business, right? So like talking through that, like, helps other people get through it. So like, I'd like to add that in to where I can help people overcome those different objections, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's whatever you want to do. It's whatever you, or even the shows you're already doing. Like, what if you just talked less about tactics, and like half the show was tactics and half of it was mindset? Like, there's many different ways to do that, right?
I'm leaning towards having 2 episodes a week instead of having just one, because it's just really just that much more content, much more findable content. Because of what I used to do, I literally used to do this where I had one entire show. It's like 35, 40 minutes long. I'd have a beginning section where I teach something like mindset, but then I'd teach more about the real estate. And when you think of SEO, or how iTunes or any way to actually try to find you, they're only going to find that one title of the entire show. If you kind of pack it in there. So what I'm going to do now instead, and I'm just spitballing here, because as we're talking about, I'm like, this might be the best way to go, is do, a Monday show and then like a Thursday show. And the Thursday show might be the shorter one that's maybe like a 10 minutes. This is how I got over this, or, the mindset shift, but it gives them more reason to go back to you as like, hey, you know what? This Shane dude knows what he's talking about. He's done it too. He's a normal guy. Let me go give him some money. Let me give him $50 a month, and I'll be one of the 100.
What sold me on this was Jason said, look, man, he said, I'll teach you what to do inside my membership, but I got to get you inside my membership. So what's keeping you from joining my membership? And when he said that, it was like, I know this. I mean, I literally have a document called the objections, and it's 24. I can see it in my mind. I know it. I know what they are. And I'm like, because I've been doing this 10 years. But when he said, it never clicked though, until I had that conversation. Right. And that's why we build community, is to have these conversations. Like, it just clicked with you. Like, he don't even know it. He hit a domino in my head of something I probably should have been doing. My domino hit your domino. Your domino is going to create a mindset thing, and it's going to make 20 more people join your membership, which lets you hire the next person. So like that's the power of these community conversations, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you utilizing YouTube very well? Like, are you putting out a lot of YouTube content?
Oh, I'm about to.
Okay,
but
good.
I now have the capacity. I told you this the other day when you texted me. I hired someone just for this. Like, it's
Yes.
I'm about to, because we do 2 member calls a month. They're both 90 minutes, so it's 3 hours. I purposefully, it's structured in this way. We give everybody 5 minutes. We make announcements. Everybody puts their questions into the Q&A box, but we also collect success stories. So like, we have 15 questions, 15 success stories, every one of these. So then what I do is, so I only answer questions for my members. That's the only time I do Q&A. I do not do that publicly, because you have to protect some proprietary stuff, right? So basically though, what we do with these things is we cut them. And I always do it in order. Like, here's a question, here's a success story. All right. Here's a question, here's a success story. All right. So we cut those into 5-minute Q&As. I have an outro that pitches the free trial. We are going to edit those, and now we're going to repurpose our member calls. We do have a thing where people can mark private, like they can answer and they can ask anonymously. So if someone asks me a question anonymously, I do not use that on YouTube. Okay. So we have an opt-out for that. So we tell people at the beginning, hey, we cut these up, we put them on YouTube, but you get to ask. And you probably won't hear this for 6 months because there's so many of them, So starting in next month, we're going to YouTube video every day. It's going to be keyword researched, properly thumbnailed, like, because people ask you great questions. They say like, hey, what's a great lead magnet for email marketing? Well, that's to get searched in YouTube. So that's going to be our strategy for YouTube, is because I don't want to just get on a live YouTube video every day. I don't got time to do that. You know what I mean?
No.
So again, repurpose, batching, good plan. Have someone supporting me to make this happen, right? And it will happen. Like, we meet once a week. It's going to happen. Like, next month, it's going to be crazy, dude. Like, I can't even fathom the amount of content we're putting out with just 3 of us. Like, it's just
That's
3
phenomenal.
people, like, making all this content.
For Successfully Unemployed, my podcast, where I literally interview experts like you who have already quit their job and are successfully unemployed. I interviewed Gillian Perkins, and she has a YouTube channel that has like 400,000 subscribers. And what was really interesting when I asked her, because she has a membership, and her membership teaches people how to do online stuff. Long story short, she has a YouTube channel where she makes $5,000 to $10,000 a month just from YouTube itself. And I asked her this. I said, if YouTube stopped paying you, you could not make any money from YouTube, but you could still put in your videos, would you continue to do that? And what she said was, absolutely. YouTube, she gets so many subscribers
it's
from
incredible.
YouTube. It is ridiculous. She said, I would literally continue doing if YouTube stopped paying me, or if they made me pay.
Ours. The only reason we have monetization marked is because it's good SEO for YouTube, because they want to show
money.
ads.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
But no,
exactly.
I wouldn't show ads in front of my videos if I couldn't. I've always believed that.
Agree.
I will never sell an ad on my podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
My ads on my podcast go to the Flip Your Life community at fliplifestyle.com/free, or you can sign up for the Membership Masters newsletter over at membershipmasters.com.
Oh, so
that's it,
so
man.
100%. And so what I would say, if anybody is, because everybody's listening to this because they want a membership, if you do not have a podcast, I'm going to say you must get a podcast. And the reason why is, out of all the, I don't know, hundreds of people that I've coached in real estate investing, I always ask them a question: how did you find me? And I would say 90 to 95% of the time through your podcast.
Well, the reason we're going to YouTube is here's what we're doing. Like, we're recording video right now. This is on YouTube. This is going to be edited down to a Facebook and Instagram TV thing. This is going to be on our podcast, which is on Spotify and iTunes and whatever else, right? Whatever, like all of that. But like, the reason we started doing the video for our podcast so that we could expand YouTube and Facebook Watch, because when Apple changed their algorithm, we took a big hit on downloads. Like, we just stopped. I don't know what they did, but we used to be like, it probably dropped 25% like in a month. And that's like algorithm. That has nothing to do with content, right? Yeah. Like, if you lose that much over time, but in 1 month, it tanked. It was terrible. But I realized, man, we created a vulnerability. We relied too much on the podcast. So now it's like, man, the podcast is the relationship. The YouTube channel is SEO. That we're going to get found. They're going to go back and forth. People will listen to both. It's fine. People on Facebook, use Facebook. So I'm going to post videos there.
Well, and you're doing the right thing. You're utilizing the same content, putting it every different way, because people digest content differently. Either reading it, listening to it, watching it on video.
That's what show notes and your transcripts are for, people, if you're not doing them.
Everything. So on every single article that I find, so Master Passive Income, I have loads of articles. I have other people write articles for me as well, but I have a video where I'm literally teaching something. I have a podcast on it, and I have the article. So I have every single other way to actually find somebody, and as well as because SEO, but then at the same time, once they're there, they see the other ways that I actually put out this content. So it's just the same content every single way you can as possible to reach people.
And then you hire a traffic person, like we were talking earlier, to go make sure everyone knows about it.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like onboarding, like email marketing, like things like that. Like that's where that comes into play, is like, hey, did you know we had a Pinterest? Did you know we had a whatever, Twitter? Like all that stuff comes into play, like there,
Absolutely.
But let's circle back here and we'll close up a little bit. But I think you got a good plan. The background is there. It's not, I mean, if you know what you're doing. And also too, I think this is like anyone listening to this, I don't care if you've even launched your membership. Think about it like we talked about. Like think about it like this, like, okay, if I was going to get to 100 members, which if you're in the community, you will. And like, if you get to 100 members, what does that first 100 members look like? Because we get blinded by the immediate goal of quitting our job or creating income. And maybe for you, that is what that is. And then you invest the next 100 members, right? But that's only 200 members. That's only 200 people out of 7 billion humans. How can you build an organization, a company around that, where you have other people helping you grow it? You have other people helping you build that wealth. That's it, man. That's all you got to do. And you just hire that one person at a time, brick by brick. The team gets built brick by brick, just like the membership gets built brick by brick. And now all you have to do is invest up front, like on a piece of property, a little bit, invest a little bit of time up front, and it comes out the other side. You're going to get to 100 members. Now you have enough capacity to think of another membership, more members, either way that you want to go. You know what I'm saying? And you can
I'm sold.
Awesome,
absolutely.
Dude. Listen, man, thanks for coming on the show and talking about this. I think some people are going to get a lot of value out of this. I appreciate your willingness to go into this crazy world, and also your transparency, because even guys like us that maybe we've got some of the things figured out, we all have to keep having these conversations. We've all got to keep a tight community around us so that we can help each other grow, man. And I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's been great. And everything that I do for just like you, it's just all about helping people. And so I think everybody listening to this is also in the same boat. We just want to help people. Of course, the money also for me, the money is the outcropping of the hard work that I put in to help.
Without the money, there's no mission. If the mission didn't need money, there wouldn't be a Lottie Moon every Christmas. They wouldn't be. The missionaries ask, I got to have the money to go overseas, baby. We got to have the money for the mission or it don't work. So, all right, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
All right, guys, that wraps up my conversation with Dustin Heiner. What a great, great conversation about using your membership to build a team. Everybody, if you want to grow, everybody, if you want to get to it eventually, you're going to have to think about building a team, getting some support staff. And it's amazing how the membership model facilitates that better than any other business model. You know, if you need to go out and create a position, you just figure out how many members that will cost you. And now you have your next goal. You just go get those members and you build the role and you pay them, and it's amazing. So if you want to get your membership going so you can start doing this membership math, you have to have a membership and you have to launch your membership before you can do the membership math. We would love to help you do that inside of the Flip Your Life community, just like we helped Dustin today. We can help you come up with your idea, find your customers, build your membership, launch it and market it, and go out there and find your 100 people to pay you $50 a month so you can make $60,000 a year, or get 200 people and that's $120,000 too. All you have to do to try out the Flip Your Life community is go to flippedlifestyle.com/free and you can start a 30-day trial. That is completely open access to everything that we have inside of the Flip Your Life community, all of our courses, all of our forums, and of course, all of our member calls. You can get that inside the Flip Your Life community right now for 30 days and try it out for free. We know you're going to love it. We know you're going to get in there. We know you're going to get excited about the membership model, just like Dustin was today. That's flippedlifestyle.com/free. We cannot wait to serve you and your family inside. All right, guys, that is all the time we have for this week. But before we go, we like to close every Flip Lifestyle podcast with a verse from the Bible. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the Bible, and we love to share those verses, these golden nuggets from God that we find with you on every episode of the show. Today's Bible verse is all about team. That's what we talked about today, was building a team. And this Bible verse is all about teams. From Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12, but I'm actually going to hit 9 and 12 on the verse today. And in the Bible, it says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil, and a 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. Nothing great gets done alone. It's okay to start off and hustle and grind and be that solopreneur. But if you want to increase your influence, if you want to increase your income, if you want to increase your impact, start thinking how you can use the resources created in your membership to build an amazing team that helps you serve hundreds, if not thousands of people in your membership site. We know you can do it. We believe in you. If we can help you in any way, let us know. But until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. If you love the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads, and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcast. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.